We pay more for our prescription drugs here in America than in any other country on the planet. And in particular, pharmaceutical companies have been known to jack up the price of life-saving drugs more than your typical generic prescription drugs of any other kind. So our federal and state level governments have been seeking solutions, but they've been hard to come by. And just this week in Springfield, we saw once again how it's difficult for government to find a solution to bring down the price of drugs.
This bill is, in fact, a price control bill.
Your description of this effort not resulting in government price control sounded exactly to me like government price control.
Sir, you can't do that.
Okay, we'll agree to disagree, Representative Calkins.
Okay.
And joining us now is the chair of that House committee trying to lower drug prices. Will Guzzardi is joining us, a Democrat from Chicago, and Ryan Grunenfelder from AARP Illinois. You work here with a lot of the lawmakers helping to craft policy. I want to get into what happened in the committee in a moment, but first, just many people in our audience probably already know what the issues are when they go to the pharmacy. They try to buy drugs, but you deal with a lot of senior citizens and you advocate for more than 1 million seniors here in Illinois. What is life like for them when they go to the drugstore?
This is one of the most concerning things that affects AARP members, not only in Illinois, but across the nation. These are for people that are over 50 years old, and over 80%, 85% of our members, and it doesn't matter their political background, they support initiatives on a wide variety of measures to lower prescription drug prices, whether that be through an affordability board or through putting some caps on the amount of money that can be spent, or going after price gouging issues, or even on the federal level, such as secretarial negotiating authority in Medicare to try to lower those drug prices all across the nation, which would significantly impact what happens here in Illinois and the price of drugs, too.
I think it was just 2 months ago, Representative, that you rolled out 4 different bills, or a series of bills. This was just one of them that went through a committee on Wednesday this week. Well, it didn't quite make it through the committee. It sort of stalled there. But this would have created a review board to look at when drug companies raise prices and examine all of that and perhaps slap a fine on someone that raised their price too quickly. I think I'm describing that accurately. Republicans said, nope, you can't do it, is one direct quote. The state is essentially powerless here. I imagine you disagree. Why?
I sure do. I mean, the premise for this bill is it's not that different from what the Illinois Commerce Commission does, regulating utility rates. So utilities in this state have...
Utilities have gone up.
That's right, but in a measured way, because utility rates have a monopoly, and so they're not allowed to just raise prices willy-nilly. They have to go before a board and explain why their prices are going up. And if the board feels like it's unjustified, they're not allowed to raise those prices.
And drug companies say that they don't have a monopoly. They say they're competing within a free market economy.
Right, well, they're lying when they say that, because these manufacturers have patents that last for decades on products that they create. They set the price extremely high when they create the product, and then they raise the price year after year after year, as people who rely on these prescriptions know. You go to the pharmacy and all of a sudden you're paying more than you paid last week. So there's important work to be done here on making sure that drug companies aren't able to get away with robbing our families in order to make a bigger profit. They're incredibly profitable entities, and they're engaging in highway robbery here.
I want to step into a political question for a quick second here. You're the chair of that committee. You're also the chair of the Progressive Caucus, not always in lockstep with the speaker, who's been described as more of a moderate Democrat, I think, a centrist, if I can use that. I don't know if you would agree with that description of his politics, but were you caught off guard by that committee vote, that tie vote, or what happened there? How did it...
I think that there were some concerns raised in the debate in the committee about the drafting of the bill, concerns that were totally valid. There were some flaws in the bill's drafting, and I want to go back and fix those, and I appreciate the committee bringing those up. As far as the speaker goes, my experience of the speaker is that he believes in good politics. He believes in the Democrats supporting bills that are going to help Democrats get elected. And frankly, I think that working on regulating prescription drug costs is a very politically powerful issue. As Ryan said, this is not a Democratic issue or a Republican issue. We hear from constituents and people across the state on both sides of the aisle who say, we're getting killed here. We can barely afford to pay for our prescriptions. Please do something.
And Ryan, if I can just sort of share one small story from the committee hearing, there was an elderly man in the front row wearing a red AARP shirt, and after the vote that disappointed him, that didn't pass committee, I don't think I've ever seen this before, but he leaned forward and stared 2 of the no vote members in the eye, and he sort of just groaned and said, we need some relief. It was like a pleading and saying, come on,
Yes.
do something. What part of the person in the room, the citizen in the room, how does that, in your experience, how has that impacted votes one way or another, and why is that important to do in the State House?
And that's the major reason we made sure that people were in there to hear that, because oftentimes these committee hearings happen here in the Capitol. But people who are living all over the state do not realize and do not know what is said in these committees. And they need to be able to hear that. There needs to be some more transparency. So we call our members in and sit them in front of the committee members to let them know that their constituents are listening. And that's part of our role, to make sure that we get some accountability on these prescription drug prices, which, as Representative Guzzardi said, are skyrocketing, and the prescription drug industry can set these prices at excessively high levels. And there's nothing that someone who is on a fixed income, retired, who may be 85 years old and may be on 6, 8, 10 drugs a day can do about it except cut elsewhere, such as food.
We did see one other bill pass out of that committee. That was Representative Mary Flowers' bill that would require these drug companies to explain or justify why their costs increased by a factor of 10% or $10,000 in annual cost to the patient. So that's something that a little bit of transparency is being added. If it passed the committee level, it has to go to the House, and the fight continues on that front. So thank you, Ryan and Representative Guzzardi, for joining us.
Thanks for your time. Thanks for having
We'll
us.
let you off there. There's a lot of more in this topic to dig into, but we'll have to save that for later in the session. So we're back in a moment with two Republicans who want to divorce downstate from Chicago. Stick around.